Okay, so we have the JOVNO power supply from 3 volts to 24 volts. What I have here is I'm going to test the current in this little LED strip here. Oops. And the reason I want to do that is because if you hook this up to a computer and you have a short in here, or you've done something, you're working on the strip and you've created a short in it, or you have your wiring wrong. This is just a wiring harness to test it. But if I have my wiring wrong in my computer on the other side of the room, and I plug this in and it overloads the RGB riser in the computer motherboard, it will melt the MOSFETs, the transistors, and they won't work anymore. And I know this because I did it already and had to replace the motherboard. So now I test everything after I get done soldering, and I just got done soldering because I'm putting these light strips in. So I'm going to try to get it here so you can see it. It makes it look better. And I'm going to test it for amps. There we go, so we can see everything here. There we go. And let's see. Sorry about that. Okay, there we go. And the strip I'm testing is 12 volt strip, RGB. We have the power adapter at 12.1 volts. And now we're going to see, and I'm going to record this because I have to add it to the other amps to make sure I don't go over the amperage of the motherboard header, which is 2 amps. All right, so what we're going to do now is we have this all wired in. If you don't know anything about this, then don't worry about it. It's just, this is wired in to the power supply itself. It goes around here and the power comes back out. And then this meter here can read how much current is going through it. And current is the same as amps, or amps, current, same thing. So anyway, I'm going to plug this in. I'm going to plug this into the power side now. All right, let's do that. Oop, hold on here. All right, and now I'm going to test each one of the colors. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to test the blue. And I can't get this thing back far enough. You guys are just going to have to, well, there we go. I'm going to test the blue and see how many amps it is. And that works, and it's 0.09 amps. If that's on a 100%, that's how much it's going to take from the motherboard. If it's all blue, if it's all red, it's going to take 0.079. And that's just the way LEDs work. The reds take the least amount. And the green is going to take 0.9 also. 0.098, it takes a little bit more than the blue. And now what we're going to do is put them all together. And we're going to see how many amps they pull when they're wide open, which would be almost white. They're going to try to get to white there. There we go. Oop, wait a minute. There we go. Hold on. So that's 0.271 amps. And what'll happen is, not that you need to know that about this power supply, but if you're interested in this kind of stuff, what's going to happen is, I'm going to set this down here. You don't need to see that anymore. What's going to happen is they're going to heat up and they're going to increase in amps. So we're just going to let that happen, and they'll get to about 111 degrees. Here they are, wide open. And we're going to let that happen. I can feel them warming up right now. They're wide open. They're taking as many amps as they're going to take. And if you watch the multimeter, it should tell you that it's going to creep up a little bit as they warm up. And that's just the nature of physics and electricity. And here we are with our JOVNO something or other. I'll put it up in a picture here in my video. It's at 12.1 volts. These are 12 volt strips, and they're cooking along. Now it's up to 284, and they should start climbing up to, well, 283. Okay, is that going to be it? Maybe so. 283.283. I can actually allow myself, I think, And I just wanted to show you that this thing's performing well. It's giving out the amps it needs to give out. Of course, it's only putting out 0.285 amps, and it'll put out 3 amps. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to disconnect this because we don't need it anymore. And I'm going to shut it off. Okay. And I'm going to take this out of here. This is just my wiring harness. And what I'm going to do is I want to show you what this will do. It'll go down. It says 3 volts, but I've tested other ones and they won't do that. And one explanation I got from one vendor was because of cost. If they went all the way to 3 volts, it would be really, really expensive to do that for some reason. So this one goes down to 3.6. That's pretty good. If you have a 3 volt application and you're running 3.6 volts to it, I'm not an electrician. I don't know all about this stuff, but I don't think that's going to hurt it. Half a volt over is really not going to hurt anything. If you get, more than that, it may start to. It's just a percentage. So you're going to be overdriving your application at 3.6 volts. So about 15% maybe, and that's probably not going to hurt them at all. Especially if you have a dimmer switch on them, it will limit the current going to it. You'll be fine. So that's pretty good. It's a little bit over 3.5 volts. That's really good. You already saw it was on 12. It'll just go on up to 4 or 5, whatever. We're just going to crank it all the way up. And I like that. It goes to 24.2. It gives me a little headroom. This is a pretty good unit as far as its range. And its range is right on. I'll test that for you right now. What we're going to do is we're going to turn this multimeter back on. And we're going to go to volts. And this is DC, so we're going to go to DC. It's already on DC. I'll put the back. So here we go, and we're going to read it now. You can see this is at 3.63 volts. I'm going to try to turn it down just a little more. 3.63, that's all it wants to do. So, and 3.597, that's reading a little bit. 3.598, it's reading a little bit lower than this is actually putting out. It says 3.63. It could be a little better, guys. Watch that. I don't think the meter is off. 3.594. I mean, that's even better for this, but it's showing 3.6. So that's pretty darn close. I mean, 3.6 to 3.63 on the meter. On the power supply, and the meter is 3.594 solid right across. You see it pop up there to 3.6, 3.63. And it's not doing that on the meter, so I don't know what that is. No big deal. Let's go to 5 volts. Oops, it's very sensitive. And I don't think I'm going to be able to get it right on 5 volts, not even close, but we'll get as close as we can. 4.99, that's pretty close. Okay, let's hit it. And 4.94. It's a little off, but it's still, it's only 400ths off if it's off at all. And it is, because I know the multimeter's right on. I've tested it a lot. It's reading 400ths off. Big deal. 400ths of a volt. That's not a big deal. There, and it's back to 491 now. That probably just has something to do with this little rheostat here, this potentiometer. It's, see it going back and forth as I tap it even. That's what it's doing. It's no big deal. Now we're going to go to 12 volts. 12.1. Let's see what we have. 11.92. So this thing is reading, I think, is reading a little high. It's a little fudging a little bit. 11.92. Let's crank it up just a little. It's within 0.08 of a volt, so I'm not worried about that. It's reading 12.1. This is reading 11.92 solid. That's pretty close, man. That's pretty good. So let's go on up to, let's just go up to 24 volts and get it over with. All right, it's 24.2. Let's see what we have. 24.06. So you know what? This tells me that this is running a little hot. It says 24.2 volts, and this is 24 volts, pretty much right on the nose with that 600ths over there. But as we go up, it gains a little bit. So this thing right here is fudging a little bit. Remember we were down at 3 volts, it was just barely off. There we go, 3.6, it's reading 3 hundredths higher.